So,
I'm John Travis in Mullumbimby, New South Wales, Australia on Monday, the 19th of January in 2026, talking to Isabelle Fox in Marina del Rey, California, where it's yesterday. Um, and I'm so delighted to find you after so many years of thinking you'd checked out. I couldn't get an email response. I had those lovely visits to your home and thought, I tried emailing you, but here you are at 99 and 100 in November. Wow. Um,
yeah,
and I see that you and Robert are still publishing books on Amazon. I saw this
right, right.
right date, so I'm
Yeah,
delighted.
yeah,
Your work was instrumental with our early work back in the 90s, and I'm just delighted to be able to share you with our viewership. So
good. Well, I'm delighted to help in any way.
yeah,
So,
well, and I'm going to find out who you are and why. It's the
okay, I'll start. Do you want me to start talking?
yes. Start with your origins of where you grew
Oh,
up, your parents, what
okay.
influences.
Okay. Well, I grew up in New York City and Manhattan from two parents. Both were chemists, but went into teaching high school chemistry and physics teaching. They were very, very child-centered parents, and we had a very uh, I think a very warm and positive early childhood. And my parents decided when I was about 5 to put me in a progressive school. It was the experimental school connected with Columbia University, the Teachers College. It was their experimental school. And I was there for 12 years. And of course, it was a very interesting school because the boys were supposed to learn sewing and cooking, and we were supposed to learn shop. And we took I think in 8th grade, we took a Model T Ford apart.
Ah,
But the most important event happened in 10th grade when I was asked as as part of our biology class to write biological, social, and emotional history of ourselves from birth through 15, which was we were about 15 years old.
wow.
So I had to explore my pediatric records from the pediatrician, from all kinds of reports from preschool, and the report cards that the teachers wrote about us, their evaluations. So it gave me a sense of the importance of development, and I think that was a very important influence in why I became a developmental psychologist.
Yeah, started
Because
early.
I wrote this extensive things with pictures and everything. It was called My Days, DAZE.
Sense of humor even then.
Right, right. So I still have the book that I did. Um, so I did go from there to at 12th grade. I graduated and went to Radcliffe, and we were the first class that integrated with Harvard. And I started as a chemistry major because my parents were both chemists, so I thought I would be. But I found out I was not a scientist. I was too impulsive and not careful enough. And unfortunately, Harvard at that time developed a new major called social relations, and it was an integration of psychology, cultural anthropology, and sociology. It was a perfect major for me.
Yeah.
So, so I really thrived there and met the very famous professors at the time uh, at Harvard. And Jerome Bruner was my tutor. And anyway, I had a very positive experience. And in my junior year, my cousin who lived in my dorm introduced me to uh, a naval officer who was just, his ship just came in, his aircraft carried into Boston, and I met my husband, Robert Fox. So
Wow.
we met. I was 19 and he was 22. He had just graduated the Wharton School, the University of Pennsylvania. And so I hurried up and finished college. We got married 11 days after graduation, and I moved to California. And on the GI Bill, we lived. And I went to graduate school at UCLA, and he went to law school. And it, I was there for, I guess I was 24, about 24, and I took the PhD prelims. Well, apparently that night I got pregnant because 9 months to the day afterwards, I had my first child. So that was very important for me to have a child. And so I did had a master's at that time after I took those exams, but I didn't have a PhD, but I had a master's, which was a pretty good degree in 1950.
Uh-huh.
Um, so my child was born, my first child, and it was a very interesting experience because I was the first one to deliver a baby and have rooming in. My obstetrician had gone to Yale and studied about rooming in, and so I had the baby next to me. They didn't have to go into the nursery. They could be next to me and start nursing right away. And of course, I just was in graduate school and I knew all about, well, Margaret Ribble was a very important person. She wrote The Rights of Infants. And I remember
Yeah.
feeling very tuned into her concepts, as well as Renee Spitz,
Uh-huh.
who talked about failure to thrive children. And so I was going to be the mother that was going to be there, basically. Those were very important. Uh, and of course, Dr. Spock, too. Those were influences. And so I decided to stay home. I gave up a job, a teaching job, as a nursery school. No, I was a kindergarten teacher, and I decided I would stay home and enjoy my baby. And I was one of the first people to nurse a baby at that time because people were bottle feeding their children. It was the
Yeah.
style at the time. But I nursed my first one for 9 months, and I proceeded to uh, have two more children and stayed home for 10 years. During that time, I did run some backyard play groups with mothers and their toddlers. Uh, and once a month, I met and would discuss child development issues with them. So that was between the 1951 and 62 when my youngest started school full time. So my daughter, I had two sons and a daughter.
You were doing
And
full-time field research right there in your backyard.
yes, I did. I did. I would bring equipment and and the mothers were there, so there was no separation of mothers and children. And most of the mothers were not working, so they were available to be there. And so
I want to
I
insert for the viewers that may not have seen it come through your webpage that the title of your book is Being There, and you
it,
you got that early on. And I know when Marin discovered that book and synopsized it, it was a major piece for our Alliance for Transforming the Lives of Children. So then through that, I met you. You came to one of our summits, and that was way back in 2003. But
yeah,
so this your work started early on. I was in second grade at this point
yeah, that's
in
right.
Ohio.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
want to back up though for a second. Did you have any siblings yourself in your early
Yes,
childhood?
I had a younger brother who was 4 years younger. We were very close. One of the reasons we were so close is that our school schedule was different than my parents' school schedule because we're part of Columbia University's schedule, and my parents were the New York City High School. So we often, especially when we were at our country
It's
home,
1 o'clock.
we were
Oh,
we
that was
were
my
all
computer. Sorry.
yeah we were often alone together playing together
Ah,
and he became a psychoanalyst and but died at 49 and left five children. It was sadness, really most profound sadness in my life.
yeah.
So, because we were really very close and had enjoyed each so I stayed home for 10 years, and then with, with my master's, I decided to uh, join the Western Psychological Center in Encino, and I started running groups for mothers, preparing them for the first year of their babies, because a lot of mothers took classes in childbirth, and of course you have very little control of what happens in childbirth. But it's when you bring home a baby, it's
Yeah.
when I was amazed how little I knew about my first year with the baby. Uh, from even with all my studying, I didn't really understand the nighttime experience, the nursing experience, the what what it was all about. So I thought that would be a good thing to prepare mothers for because the first year is so basic in establishing trust and establishing uh, a sense of security. I mean, if you don't have that in the first year, you can almost never get it. As I tell my mothers, you can't rock a teenager. You have to rock that baby.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
pre the pre-verbal years are really important,
Yeah. The
and all
primal period, they call it, or the fourth trimester, and it's so underrated.
right, right. So anyway, that was what started me on my practice. Um, so then I guess it was around 1966. I became the senior mental health consultant for Head Start,
Oh,
and and
for the whole
so
country?
no, in the San Fernando Valley.
Uh-huh.
So I I had about 20 something sites to observe children, and what I started a new program called what I call the Children's Aid Program because they were ready to actually kick out children who were too disturbing in the classroom. And I thought, what a sad thing to be a school dropout in preschool.
Yeah.
So what I did was I took paraprofessionals who were learning in child development, at Cedar Sinai and different places around to be aides and to work with the child in the classroom and keep them under control or take them out of the classroom, but see that they stayed in the program. So, because the program was not only good for children, it was good for the parents as well.
Now, I've
Uh,
heard of Head Start forever, but I've never had any direct contact with it. Can you give a little background for our viewers? What is a Head Start program?
the Head Start program is a program for 4-year-olds that provided a preschool experience. It provided lunch and breakfast and uh,
Where would
and
they be located? Like in a,
in churches,
oh,
mostly
okay.
they in churches and schools, certain schools, but mostly they were in churches um, and it was a program that Nixon supported, and it, it was. And I went to Washington to talk about. I wrote it up, I and I went to Washington and talked to the head of uh, what was it? I can't remember what agency he was the head of. Start. What? Head Start. Oh, the head of Head Start, and he he thought it was really a good program since it didn't cost anything. I used these students in learning, to be in the classroom as a kind of part of their training.
And the teachers were recruited and on the federal payroll, or how did they?
No, no, they weren't paid at all. It was part of their training in another, like in
Oh,
Pacifico or in the Cedar Sinai. They were trained to be child development specialists. But
okay. And they were
this
teaching
was,
the classes, running the classes.
yeah, they weren't running the classes. They just
Oh, these are
were
the aides.
these were aides that were put into the
Uh,
Head Start classroom as part of their education too.
but so the actual teachers of the classes, they were recruited.
No, the teachers stayed as teachers, but there were aides that came in to help with
Right.
the disturbed child.
I'm just trying to ascertain the actual source of the teachers. Was this sort of like a
Oh, the
Peace
teachers were
Corps?
well. Yeah, Head Start with teachers were well paid. Yeah, they were
Uh-huh.
paid by the government. Yes, yeah. It was a big. It still is going on. If Trump hasn't destroyed it.
Interesting. Uh,
Yeah, it was for 3 to 4-year-olds. It was pre-kindergarten.
and then
And well,
the parents have to have minimal income to be eligible, or
yes, yes, yes. And it was part of the poverty program. It was
uh-huh.
part of the poverty program. And so I was there for 10 years. And what was so good about it was we had parent meetings too. So the parents got some education about early childhood. And what I noticed was that the families of the Mexican children and often the black children were not as disturbed as the white children. The white children came from much more dysfunctional families because they probably were middle class that dropped into poverty because of alcoholism, drugs, divorce, whereas the Mexican children or the blacks still had a lot of family supports. in in their early childhood.
Yeah, well, the culture, their cultures are so much more connected than Northern Europeans, who are the most disconnected. But I love the quote, "America is the world's largest experiment in loneliness," and how that
Yeah,
shows up with everything.
right.
Martin
So
Mull
many,
wrote a book called "A History of White." It was a spoof title, basically pointing out how lack of cultural heritage most white groups had. I can't remember the title of that book, that old Martin Mull wrote it. So yeah, you were definitely seeing that. I noticed it in Mexican restaurants when you'd see a Mexican family and the father
yeah,
playing with the kids. And when I lived in Costa Rica, the Costa Ricans on the bus were all having a party, and the gringos were sitting there by themselves. No
right,
connection.
right,
Yeah.
right.
So you
So
had
I think,
that program for 10 years. Now, had you moved up to San Fernando Valley from where were you when you were doing your uh
oh, I moved in 1960. My youngest was 4, and I still stayed home until she went to school, and that so it was from 66 to 76 is when I was, and we were in that house that you stayed at. I
yeah.
think that, did you stay overnight?
Oh yeah. A couple times I think.
Yeah.
Lovely with your pool and your it's such a beautiful spot.
It
So
was a beautiful spot. We were there almost 60 years, yeah, till
wow.
we moved here. Yeah, I still dream about it.
Yeah, what a
Yeah,
place. Yeah,
right. So um, I think that during this time I was influenced by Bettelheim, Carlo's studies of rhesus monkeys. Remember those studies?
uh-huh.
And Bowlby. And so it was early, it was part of my work at the Western Psychological Center where I was doing these groups that another Carl Pothurst and some other psychologists, we formed the attachment study group,
Hmm.
the Bowlby attachment study group. And uh, we we met with John Bowlby and once when he came here, and then we went to Tavistock and studied with him for for a couple weeks. That was a very special experience being with him, John Bowlby.
Right. Now was Mary what's Mary's last name?
Mary Ainsworth, Mary Ainsworth.
Ainsworth, yeah. What that you
Well, I knew of her and read of her work, and of course, um, yes, she was very influential too.
yeah.
But it was really interesting to go to England and go to Tavistock. And of course, during this time, my private practice grew, and I saw a lot of celebrities in my practice, and I could see how devastating divorce was and separations were. They were on um, location, away from families. How I could see the difference between the children who were securely attached. I mean, they may have had a bowel problem or there may be an eating problem, but they weren't so basically disturbed as
Hmm.
the children, as so many children who were, and of course it was the beginning of the women's movement. You
Right.
remember the
Yeah,
women's?
and Jim Prescott was at NIH trying to get this across and encountering incredible flack from the women's movement, of course. Like it wasn't the right time to ask mothers to stay at home with their kids. And
Exactly, exactly. So uh, uh, it was a really stressful. time, and I saw the result of these children as more and more women were putting their children in daycare, and there was, many more disruptions in the early bonding experience,
Yeah.
and there was more pathology in the children that I saw. And so I, I, I did write my thesis. I did get a PhD uh, at around that time, and it was called Attachment Parenting from Birth Through College.
Ah,
About it was a 750 page dissertation, so
wow.
it was hard to carry. So anyway, and I
Where
think
did you get what university?
it was Pacific Western University finally gave me the PhD.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so I couldn't get it at UCLA at the time uh, when I took my prelims because I needed two foreign languages, and I just had French. I didn't have German.
Two.
So that
Wow.
I couldn't proceed anyway, so I was kind of stuck.
Yeah.
But I did get the PhD. I was around 60, and I think with sort of the encouragement of Bowlby, I then wrote the book Being There.
And that was originally published when in early 80s?
19 no, in 97.
Oh, that okay. So it was almost brand new when we ran into it.
Yeah.
How did it come about? Like what made you decide to write it and
Well,
republish it?
I think I decided to write it because I saw so much pathology in my private practice. I had a very busy private practice, and I thought I could see the difference in the working mothers and the mothers that had stayed home.
Yeah.
I could see there was much more, hyperactivity. There was much more. They were on more on medications, and it was. I could see there was a difference, and even how they related to me.
Hmm.
I don't remember if you ever saw my playroom at my house, where I had the sandbox and the all the
I don't
different.
remember it that well. I'm sure that you showed it to me, but it was
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
going on. So,
right.
did you use
And then
some of
of
your
course,
thesis in your book?
yes, I did. I did. And quite a bit. And also at that time, I met Barbara Nicholson and Lisa Parker,
Lisa Parker, yeah.
uh,
And
the
they formed
people who
Attachment Parenting International, API. That was,
were right.
yeah.
So I wrote my book and got it. Barron's published it. They sent it around to different psychologists to review it before they. It was hard to get it accepted as a published, but finally Barron's did, and so uh, I and of course it was so controversial at the time because it was the height of the women's movement, 1996, and everyone was talking about it. So it took me all over the world, really, talking about. I had lectures in Australia, New Zealand,
Really?
in
Huh.
yeah, in England and Scotland, uh, Ireland. So, and then of course the United States, all the La Leche groups were talking about it. I even talked to a father's group in Chicago. There was you know, I had about 200 lectures.
Wow.
on radio and TV, all discussing the issues. And of course, all the people who were interviewing me were working mothers or working people. so, so it was interesting. I don't know how I met you originally.
It was, I think when we created Suzanne Arms had the idea for our doing a summit after we had finished the blueprint from ATLC. And we contacted you early on because your book was so important. And you came up to uh, what's a little town just south of Santa Barbara where we had that retreat center where we had the
Yeah,
conference. And then I had a little subgroup meet at your house. I remember you offered to let us use your house. We had another meeting, and I ran into a Susan Campbell there who
yeah,
anyway. Um, but it was Maren, my former wife, who discovered your book. She was the co-founder of the Alliance, and along with Suzanne Arms, and she talked it up and wrote a synopsis of it. And so um, it's still in print, and it's only $10. How often can you find a book for $10 anymore? Do you know how many copies have sold?
what?
Do you know how many copies have sold? Do they give you those figures or not?
No, I don't know how many.
Uh-huh.
That it wasn't a big money maker, but
They
it
seldom are.
what they are. But anyway, it did a lot better than our other book that my husband and I wrote, the Prospective Spouse Checklist, which is what to find someone who has a good potential as a spouse, you really have to explore their early childhood.
It was a brilliant idea, and so it hasn't done that well. I would have thought that'd be a bestseller.
I would think so, and people who read it love it,
Yeah.
and give it to their grandchildren, and and you know, I just heard from someone who said two of their three grandchildren read the book, and two have broken up with their boyfriends after reading the importance of the early childhood experiences,
Smart. Yeah,
because it gets played out in marriage.
exactly. Yeah.
But,
Uh,
but my husband and I both had very positive childhood experiences, and we're very lucky. We've been married now. It's going to be close to 80 years.
wow. And now, just going back, Robert's his name, and I think he's in the background, a little coaching there. Uh,
Yeah.
what he went to law school, and then what was his professional path
Oh,
while you were home with the kids?
yeah, he's a medical malpractice attorney. He
Oh,
sues doctors for mistakes they made, and he's written a couple books. His latest book was Avoiding Medical Errors, 100 Rules to Survive Your Doctor or Hospital Experience.
I got to find that one. That's wow.
And he just had something published in the uh, Wharton School magazine called Finding Your Love at Wharton. Finding Your Better Half. Finding Your Better Half, Walter. At Wharton. Yeah. So,
Very
yeah.
practical.
Yeah, well, school is a good place to have a pool of eligible people.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, so let's move on to your retirement, and uh, you're still hardly retired, but
Yes, yes, but I've been working with groups called the Guided Autobiography Groups. James Buren wrote a syllabus of 10 issues to explore. But I have been running groups here at the retirement home, and one group bonded about 7 years ago, and we still meet once a month, and uh, we've written about 60 different issues of our life. Short,
Great.
little 2 page, 1 2 page.
Uh-huh.
And we also wrote a memoir. Bob wrote half of it of his life, and I wrote one, and then we have a supplement. So that's
Is that published?
yes, but we published it ourselves. It's we've made about 50 copies for family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, someone could get it, but it would. I think it could, but we didn't. It isn't something that the public would want to read. I don't
Uh-huh.
think. But
Well,
we have a big family now, and
wonderful for the family. Yeah. I'm
yeah,
trying to
yeah,
document a few things that my granddaughters might be interested in sometime down the line. And uh,
yeah. How many do you have?
I just have two granddaughters who are one's at Smith College and one's a senior in high school. But
Oh,
uh, I
the
haven't
one.
had any contact with them for 5 years because their mother is very pro-vaccine and I'm not. And they were both vaccine damaged, I believe, in their infancy from the childhood over-vaccination schedule. And it's a sore subject. So that's been a lot of my work in the last 5 years is
Oh,
the,
oh.
the
Well,
damage.
I have this theory of autism has come from the use of ultrasound. It coincides with autism, the use of ultrasound, and practices where they just use doulas and they don't use ultrasound. There's very seldom there's an autistic child.
That's the first I've heard that. And I'm aware that ultrasound is pretty toxic. Sarah Buckley wrote something about it 30 years ago, and uh, it's
Well,
vastly,
certainly with a 3 month fetus, a 6 week old fetus to get
yeah,
bombarded. And of course, the older women are now, because they're they're high risk pregnancies. They're getting more and more
yeah.
ultrasound.
Well, my younger daughter, when because she was a high risk supposedly, they did an amniocentesis with ultrasound. And did you know Ray Castellino in
The
Santa
names,
Barbara? He
yeah.
he he did infant trauma resolution work, and he did a session with her with the sand table, the toys, and she picked out a syringe and a TV set. And when her ultrasound was done, you could see her kicking at the needle. And so we interpreted that as she remembered that experience and somehow picked a TV for the monitor that we were watching it on. It was pretty
Right.
spooky, but yeah, that's another major risk. Plus all the EMFs that they're bathing us with 5G and now 6G. It's the toxic soup that we live in. It's amazing that any of us are functional. And
Right.
mm,
Right.
I'm so
So,
encouraged that things are getting straightened out, that the low fat diet thing has been exploded and the food pyramid finally fixed or improved. It's still got a ways to go. And the over vaccination of kids, like 90 shots of doses by the time you're 18, it's ridiculous. So, um, back to let's see, we've brought you up to current. Were there any threads I wanted to go back to? Oh, your children and grandchildren. You said your brother died.
yes, I have 3 children, seven grandchildren and eight great-grandchildren.
Oh,
Six little boys and one little girl.
those are the
So
grandchildren?
great-grandchildren, I
Oh,
have
oh,
eight.
they're great.
You're right.
And
Yeah,
are they,
all my three children are grandparents, and four of the seven are parents.
are they
So
near you? Do you see anything of them?
yeah, they're all in California. They're
Oh,
all in California. My daughter's a painter and lives in Ojai,
uh-huh.
California, and she has two children and two great grandchildren. So, and Bob's our middle son is the lawyer who's took over his practice, and our older son is a retired lawyer. He was the dean of a law school, and he's retired. He's a
Wow.
he's a father of five grandchildren, grandfather.
Wow. And nearby, any of them or?
They're up in Moraga and Walnut Creek, that area, East
Uh-huh.
Bay.
Uh-huh.
So
Wow. What a life. And you're still fully in it. I love it.
yeah, well, I'm right now. One of the groups that I met 60 years ago met me and accidentally came to visit someone here and asked if I would run a group for women who are in their 80s, preparing them for the 90s.
Huh.
Because so they're all about your age, 82, and they have children 58 and 60 who took the original workshop. And so we're looking back at what they can do to kind of look at their lives and do the things they should be doing before they're in their 90s, like we are, and not able to travel or explore the things that we did in our 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Great.
So that So that's what I'm doing right now. And as I said, I still have one group of guided autobiography, which the writing has to do with really finding out about yourself.
Uh-huh. I remember back in the 80s or 90s that somebody wrote a book called Elder Tales. It was a psychiatrist who noticed he had a patient who didn't need therapy, but it really needed to tell his story. And he got the idea that that was an important developmental stage in your later years. But
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
no
I think
longer
it
the
is.
circle to tell it to. So he suggested writing it and wrote the book about it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah. So that's the story.
Well,
I hope this is what you wanted from me.
exactly. It's wonderful. And any parting words you want to leave for the future generations?
Well, try to live fully because you only have one life, and you
That's
know, and take good care of the people who are important to you.
great parting words. Well, thank you. I'm going to end the recording now.
Okay.